For this tutorial, we're going to look at how we can model up a city like this using the Greeble plugin. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by drawing a bunch of lines in just to map out our city streets, and then put a rectangle around it to create a boundary for our city. After that, we can spend some time adjusting our lines or adding some more just to lay out the city however we exactly want it to. Let's then name this layer our street drivers, because these lines can be used later to adjust our streets if needed. Our next step is to select all of our street lines, and we're going to create a reference clone of these lines and paste them onto a new layer called City. From there, we're going to grab our city lines and go to our modifier list and search or find spline offset. From here, we want to change our offset distance to make it a more acceptable street size. We'll change our end type to open but, and we're going to uncheck keep original spline. From here, we want to find our way to the splines dropdown and change this to compound shapes. Now with our rectangle selected, we want to click on the shape boolean button, and we'll scroll down the menu and find subtract. Now if we scroll back up, we can click the add operands button, and from there we'll then select all of our offset lines, which will start removing the areas and creating our city blocks. What we can do now is unhide our street drivers layer, and if we go into our modifier tab and click on line from our modifier list, we can then select vertices and begin to adjust the points in our lines to change the form of the city blocks. Now we'll go back into our modifier list and we'll search for quantify mesh, which will give us a grid to shape the amount of buildings in each of our blocks. Now if we add in our Greeble plugin, we can start to see the buildings taking the shape of this mesh in our city blocks. However, what we can see is that lots of the shapes in our grid are not square and create weird shaped buildings. So we'll go back into our modifier list again and we'll add retopology. By changing these values, we can create a more square grid for our buildings. Now when we turn the Greeble plugin back on, we can see that the buildings are a much more realistic shape. The issue with this city model right now is all of the buildings are touching wall to wall, so we want to start adding in spaces for footpaths or roads between the buildings. By going back into our Greeble plugin in the modifier list, we can scroll down to panels and change the min and max height and add a taper to start creating a space for these paths. In this same tab, we want to find the select tops checkbox and turn that on, which will select the top of each of these building panels. And from there, we'll add another Greeble plugin on top of those, which will extrude just the tops and leave the paths blank for us. Now we can finish off our city model by again changing the height of this Greeble, adding any widgets, and adjusting the taper however we would like to make an accurate city for what we want to model.